Okay, we're going through the fifth step of development of human life, which is the creational life, is what the Plejadians call it. And we're on the fifth level of that, which is called the position of recognition, reminiscence of earlier lives, etc. So here they're talking about, not only understanding that there is a previous life and so forth, but you would have cognition of them, that your force of spirit is strong enough now that you can actually move in time more or less and see them, feel them, and understand them well enough. You would be able then, for instance, when a new person is being born and coming into life, through the force of your spirit, you could get in touch with that newborn spirit that's just come in to the woman and find out who it was, and even help that spirit when it's first born to understand itself in its own path of evolution. Wouldn't that be something? I mean, we're all born into life and we stumble around. We're, depending on what environment we're born into, we're taught all sorts of unusual beliefs and sort of things. And most of us wind up at being about 20 years old, really confused about what is life and what we're supposed to do. Well, depending on the society you live in, you're channeled into some area. You'll be a businessman, or you'll be a nurse, or you'll be a housewife, or a cowboy, whatever it is. And depending on what country you grow up in, you're taught that life is this, or it's this, or it's this. But most of us at some point in our life, our curiosity gets the best of us, and we want to know other things. We've got other questions. And like myself, I'm sure many of you have worn out a passport or two, traveling around the world looking for a few answers. I know myself, I've done China, and I've gone through that in Kyoto, Japan. I've been through Egypt and studied that old technology just out of interest. And perhaps there's something in my earlier lives which have led me to those areas to look for things. I'm not sure. But it's pretty fascinating how we really, go look for some connections. We try to find ourselves in the life and figure out what our purpose is, figure out why we're here. Many people really would like to understand just what they're supposed to be doing with themselves this life. Well, if we had someone at this level, at this development of level around, they could probably, help us find it. Even at our level of development, which for most of us is, far less than this, that we're learning through mild self-hypnosis and so forth to try to get in touch with ourselves a little bit more. And many people are learning to meditate, to get into themselves and find some of the answers. And they're paying more attention to dreams that come to us at night and looking for, logical reasons why we're doing what we're doing. Okay, the sixth level of creational life is called a king of wisdom, an Ishwish. Now, in the tapes earlier, I was telling you that in the old Lyrian language, Ishwish meant king of wisdom. And this is a person who is still in the physical world, but has almost total and complete knowledge. He is a king of the wisdom of life. And this is where that comes into play and where that word came from. In our tapes, we were talking about Ptah being an Ishwish, Semjasi's father who ran the Great Spacer. He was an Ishwish. So he's living through the many lifetimes, the several hundred or maybe even thousands of lifetimes at that level of physical development where he is really rounding out his total knowledge of life and has total understanding of all of nature's and spirit's force as well as the logic of creation. The seventh level of creational life is cognition of spiritual peace at the universal love and the creational harmony. This sounds interesting, doesn't it? Cognition of spiritual peace. In other words, this being has become so developed, has such total understanding and connection through his spirit to creation himself, that he's living in spiritual peace. He can no longer be moved to hate and anger and jealousy and these things. His knowledge is far too great. He's a person of great wisdom that lives with a thorough knowledge and understanding of what life is all about and has complete cognition and awareness of creation and his connection to it. Must be a very peaceful, content state to be in. Also of the universal love, of the great universal love force that creation has for all beings, no matter what they may be doing that day. This is an important lesson for all of us, and many of us are learning now that just because someone doesn't look the way we like or act the way we like, we can still stand back and see them as a spiritual person, as a spirit form on their path. And you look at that person and it's almost humorous, and you you think, well, he's not doing anything that I would be doing. But you're not prejudiced. You pose no value judgments. You just see an individual as a spirit form on their path, doing what they think is right for them, on their own path of discovery. You're not threatened by them. There's no feeling of competition. You just look at them as another spirit form and go, all right, I'm with you. Send them a little of your own life force. Send them a little telepathic nudge that you care about them, that you love them, and you don't want anything from them. Give everybody their space to be themselves. Because as you're seeing now, we're all on our own path. As we go through all these steps of life that we're talking about, development of life, millions of years are going by. And each one of us is on a different path, a different level of discovery and learning. We're all looking for information that we need so we can crunch it with all of our little mechanics, with our subconscious mind, make our little logic, and feed our spirit what it needs at that time. We're all still making mistakes and learning. So look at someone else, and when you see them, don't look at them like, oh, gee, he's fat, or she's not this, or she's too tall, or I don't like the way they talk, or oh, gee, he's an Arab, or she's black, or whatever. It's nonsense. That's strictly a material viewpoint. You're looking at someone with strictly material eyes and with a material mind. It's time we all started looking at each other using our spirit and seeing each other as spirits, all as beautiful, loving spirits on our own path, needing our own space. And we can help each other. You know, that's what it's really all about. When we quit looking at each other as material objects that we need something from, or we're prejudiced about, or we're competing with, or we're angry with, or we disapprove, when we can get past that, when we can see each other as spiritual beings, all of us are in creation. We're all created to the same universal love of creation. When we can see that, then peace actually will come to earth, and we will all be living in a more peaceful state. And that's where creational harmony comes from, because I'm quite sure at the creational level, the creational source that's actually controlling and providing the life force itself to all living things in the universe, it's unconditional. You don't have to pay a price every day for the life force that's within you. You know, we're beginning to be able to measure that there is a life force, some sort of energy source inside the body that makes all this matter, actually animates it, makes it work. You know, that spark of life that's within us. Well, you don't have to pay a fee for that. There's no tariff. It's unconditional. You are given that creational life force by creation itself to live your physical life. And nothing is asked in return. How unconditional can you get? Well, the sixth stage of development of human life is what's called the spiritual life. Okay? The first level of that is the acknowledgement and realization of the spiritual peace, the universal love, and the creational harmony. Well, acknowledgement of it. Realization of spiritual peace. What a blissful state to be in. You're becoming aware and probably living most of your physical life now in some sort of state of meditative creational bliss, where you're not paying attention to the world any longer with physical senses. You probably need no sleep at all. You can probably live for several thousand years just by the force of your spirit. And for the most part, you spend most of your time so connected to creation through the force of your spirit that you view the world entirely that way. The second level of development of the spiritual life is living in pure spiritual forms. At this level, you have almost no need for the material senses. They're probably beginning to even shut down, where you no longer need ears to hear. You can sense with your spirit. You don't need eyes to perceive things. The force of your spirit is probably so strong you can project it anywhere and see what you want. You don't need to smell